All right, Adam. It's another podcast.
Back in studio.
You know, people need this.
Which still just stuns me.
People have told us that they need this.
You know what you need? Water.
Yeah. Shelter.
Shelter, clothing, sometimes.
Speaking of clothing, we have a guest today.
Yes.
You knew we had this guest today.
Yes. It's going to pan out.
We have on the show today, going to be calling in here shortly, my very good friend, OU football legend. Can we call him a legend? I mean, if you're a team captain of a national championship team, I think we can call you a legend. My good friend Bubba Burcham, who was the offensive lineman for OU team captain when they won a national championship in 2000. Oklahoma boy, through and through.
Yeah.
And you chose to wear an Oklahoma State hat.
Right there, baby.
How many national championships has Oklahoma State won?
In what sport?
Football.
In
This is football. We're
none,
talking football.
none in football.
Oh, no.
Well, technically.
You guys
I hate
claim
that. No,
the 1945 state championship.
Oh, that's a disgusting
Over
blemish.
who? Over who?
Over nobody? Is that what it is?
No. You know who you claim that over?
No.
Army. You know who won a world war in 1945, Adam? Army did. They defeated the Germans in World War II.
The Germans.
And Oklahoma State Cowboys have the nerve to say, you know what, we probably deserve the national championship that year. Well, that's enough to make me want to walk away.
Yeah.
But apparently not enough for you.
No.
You have no shame.
There's no. We've established that a long time ago.
It's really disappointing.
The shame threshold is at an all-time
The
low.
1945 state champions, they actually hung it up on the wall.
They did.
There at the Oklahoma State, where the 1945
Stadium.
At Boone Pickens Stadium, hung it up like 3 or 4 years ago when that was they claimed it was awarded to them. I think you got to default and give that to Army, who was undefeated that year in football. They were undefeated in football, undefeated in world wars. They deserve that national championship, and you guys stole.
You're talking to the wrong. I didn't hang it up.
You support the program.
I do.
Enough said, bud.
We're gonna get into the old. By the end of this, we won't be wearing any clothes.
Bubba comes on.
Support. Well,
look, I'm wearing a Bocephus shirt. I'm rocking my Hank Williams Jr. shirt today.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's people that are going to have a problem with Hank Williams.
Yeah. It's just, you can't make everybody happy.
You can't make everybody
You can't please everyone.
No, you can't.
You can't please everyone.
You can't do it.
No.
We are proof of that pudding.
Yeah.
We have people email us and complain about all kinds of stupid stuff on the show all the time.
Things. You know what they don't complain about?
The producer in the background. That they never see.
Yeah. They also don't complain about our lovely drink sponsor.
Oh, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Deer Camp Coffee.
Yeah.
Proud sponsor of Final Descent Outdoors. If you are never tried Deer Camp Coffee, you need to give this a try. Incredible stuff. Really, all of our sponsors. We got so many great sponsors.
I found a bag of that in my shop.
Did you?
Yeah. One survived the fire. So I
That's
cracked
not
that.
funny. Your home burn.
Yeah, it's not funny at all. I cracked that thing open and got me a hot cup of coffee, hot cup of Deer Camp coffee. So it's good stuff. Casey likes it. My wife likes the Deer Camp coffee. It's good.
It's excellent.
It is good.
It's great coffee.
It is good. It is good.
So we got Bubba here.
Yeah.
So we go ahead and you want to hop in and bring Bubba in?
I think we're ready.
Are you sure? I mean, you're bringing in the Oklahoma State thing.
It's gonna pan out.
Okay.
He seems like an all Oklahoma kind of guy. Right? Right? Right?
I guess we'll find out.
All right, I'll get him in.
All right, Adam. So we've got Bubba Burcham with us today.
Yeah.
And I see you wore your Oklahoma State hat.
Yeah.
What a tool. What a jerk move, man.
Not super intentional. It's just I am what I am.
Bubba, how are you, dude?
I'm doing great. I did notice that hat first. That's the old school baseball hat.
Yes,
I had
sir.
one when I was in junior high. And then
yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember those days.
So
Yes.
so Bubba was starting offensive lineman, captain when OU won their last national championship.
Yeah.
In 2000. And so you're an Oklahoma guy.
Yeah.
Tell us where you grew up at, Bubba.
I grew up in Mustang, Oklahoma. Went to high school there. Lived in the same house my whole life. Same bedroom, same tiny twin bed. And, when I was 16, that bed got really small all of a sudden somehow.
I was going to say,
do you still have the same tiny twin bed?
Yeah, you and your wife sleep? No.
A king bed is like two twin beds squished together, basically.
Right.
That's longer, but having slept with kids between us most of the time, I feel like I still sleep on a twin bed.
That's true. Yeah, that totally understand that. Yeah, you're still crammed into kind of the corner of the bed. So you graduated from Mustang High School, and did you have tell us how the process of ending up at OU went?
Yeah, there were. Sophomore, junior year, mainly junior, a lot of letters from different universities all over the place, but nothing got past like, hey, here's our school, and besides a few phone calls. And then signing day, my senior year rolls around, there's no offers. And early on, I just said, hey, I don't want to go Division II. I want to go Division I. And it's just, I had a thick skull and had to, this was what I wanted to do. So ended up walking on. The day after signing day, my mom says, hey, tomorrow you're going to miss school and we're going to OU. We're going to talk to them about walking on. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And that's
awesome.
That's the story.
That's awesome. So mom said, load you up. We're going to Norman. Now, so you mentioned you had an Oklahoma State hat. Did you grow up an Oklahoma State fan then?
No, I mean, some of my first memories are when Bosworth in the 85 national championship team.
Oh yeah.
I was a little kid. I'm like, hey, you know what? Football season. I love OU. Baseball state, I just knew that I enjoyed baseball and had fun playing it. And I'm like, well, she was really good at baseball at the time. And,
so you had the hat.
So I just had I like hats.
I feel you.
See, I knew that. So
okay.
I was trying to take Bubba back.
All right.
Back to his roots.
That's what it was. So. That's what it was. So anyway, so you walk on at OU, and so you walk in. So you came in what year did you come in, Bubba?
That would have been the fall of '96.
Okay.
Howard Schnellenberger was there in '95, so it was John Blake's first season.
Right.
As the head coach.
All right. I mean, a player's coach, everybody seemed like they loved him from a player standpoint, right?
Right. Yeah. He was very relational, great coach, great, just getting to the hearts of the players, just, learned a lot about that. And his staff, a lot of his staff was the same way. You could see that they cared about who the players were, not just, the X's and O's on the field. And so learned a lot of what to do and what not to do as a coach from watching all that. But yeah, it was fun. We had lots of fun. We weren't very good, but we had lots of fun.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So it was fun, but OU football, that wasn't a great era because it didn't last very long. And so John was let go. Bob Stoops comes in, and tell me about that. What was that transition like as a player? Getting a new coach. Whole thing with that whole new coaching staff.
Yeah, so under Coach Blake, I redshirted and we went 3-8. And then my freshman year we went 4-8, and then my sophomore year we went 5-6. And then Coach Stoops comes in. Jerry Schmidt comes in. He's the head strength coach.
Oh yeah, Schmitty.
Josh Heupel came in on a recruiting visit. And I was his host, Josh Heupel, now Tennessee head football coach.
Yeah.
And I was his host. It's December between semesters, and nobody's on campus besides like a couple married players. And so we go play pool, and he watches film with Mike Leach. That's about all he did on his recruiting visit.
Well, he's from Snow Junior College. I can't imagine that he was used to seeing a ton of – he's not used to seeing a ton of people, right? Come on now.
Aberdeen, South Dakota. His
Right.
dad's a head coach at Aberdeen State in Aberdeen. So he's been around college football. He knows the whole world. But on that recruiting visit, Coach Smitty just you could tell he was different. And he's one of those guys that if he walks into a room of ex-players, everybody will be like, be a little nervous. Because they're like, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? We're going to have to do some abs or do some shuttle runs or something real quick just to – he's just intimidating. He's not very tall, but he's very, very intimidating.
Oh, yeah. He's a short, stocky dude.
Yeah, very. So just that whole recruiting trip, Josh, just meeting them, I'm like, this is different, very different. So now I would put it as the level of expectancy was vastly improved. It wasn't just work hard. It was like you're expected to do certain things. And one of the phrases that was thrown around is your players, as a coach, your players will live up or down to your expectations. And it's the same thing in being a dad. It's like your kids will live up or down to your expectations. And just a tremendous amount of pressure, but just at the same time, you were expected to perform. If you didn't perform, like, why? What are you doing? What's going on? What are you eating? How are you sleeping? What's going girlfriend lifestyle, classes, just like pressure, perform. It was just so much, but it was what we needed. It's like they said, here's the bar, get to it. And we said, okay.
And that's what's cool about it is, so Bob came in, is that your junior year in that staff?
Yeah, that would have been my fourth year, but it's my junior year because I redshirted.
Yeah, so your redshirt senior or redshirt junior year.
Yes.
And there's this expectation because, we immediately turned around and have an incredible run, win a national championship. And you're not far removed. I remember, so Bubba, you would have been there. I remember as a high school student, because you're a couple years older than I am. I'm 40. I remember sitting in the stands at an FCA game day watching the University of Oklahoma lose to Tulsa. You remember that game?
I remember that game.
That's that probably, goodness, that would have been
97?
96 or 97, in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at one point we lined up in punt formation and we snapped the ball without a punter. There was no punter on the field, and we threw it out the back of the end zone.
Surrender.
But that goes to speak of, though, what I'm saying all that is to speak about the actual talent that was on the team, because Bob comes in 99. He's there 1 year. We go play Deuce McAllister in Ole Miss.
Yeah, and Eli Manning was redshirting as a quarterback at Ole Miss at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Dude. So that's a solid program. They had a second round, a guy that was a second round draft pick playing defensive tackle. And one time he made me miss so bad. I'm trying to pass protect. Made me miss so bad. I reached back to I was going to hold. I'm like, I'm not giving up a sack. And all I could grab was his wristband. That's how fast and how gone he was.
Yeah.
He came up, did some dance. I lunged. He got past me. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, throw it. I'm yelling, throw it. And I'm like, quarterback can't hear me.
Get rid of
it. Who was the quarterback? That was That
was Heupel.
That was his first year, right?
Yeah. And but he was there to be a quarterback. He wasn't, they say student athlete. He was an athlete, and I don't know how he was able to pass his classes, because all he did was watch film and understand what his opponent did. But he learned it from his dad. He just was a film nut. Josh was, and his dad was.
Yeah, he had an unbelievable career at OU. But even getting back to that talent pool, the talent was obviously there. You had the players that were there, but that lack of direction when it came to like you talked about just a second ago, that expectation. Well, that changed, and I always think it's cool because y'all are a bunch of Oklahoma kids. How many guys that started on that national championship team were just Oklahoma kids? Right.
And like one guy that he graduated, we came in together. He did not redshirt, Brandon Daniels.
Yeah.
Played quarterback at Ada.
Ada boy, yeah.
Highly talented kid, but his senior year, you saw a glimpse of what he could have done. But just, oh man, he was an amazing. He returned a kickoff for a touchdown against Notre Dame, and then just caught a lot of balls. They just, putting the ball in his hands as many ways you could, and he made people miss, and he was talented. And then there were so many young receivers that year. They either came in, they were either our senior year in 2000, my senior year in 2000, they were either freshmen, true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or sophomores, but they could play ball. And but then there was a mix of those young guys that Coach Stoops had brought in with Coach Blake's guys and a few walk-ons. There was the guy that was started Sam linebacker. He was a walk-on. His name was Roger Steffen. Mm-hmm. Corey Heineke started defensive end. He was from Edmond, and he was a walk-on. So there were other guys that were walk-on guys. Chris Hammonds was a walk-on. He played tight end and fullback. But just a lot of Oklahoma guys, yes.
Yeah.
The right tackle was from Wagner. The right guard was from Tahlequah. I was from Mustang. The left guard was a JUCO transfer who was actually originally born in Africa. The left tackle was from Moore. So that's like 4 of the 5 O linemen are from Oklahoma. And it was very similar with the D line. A lot of the 6 or 7 that rotated, at least 4 or 5 of them were from Oklahoma as well.
So just a little off subject, we'll come back to it. But hey, Bubba, did you know that Sam Bradford touched Adams' butt every day in practice?
Every day.
Yep.
Sam
Bradford touched Adams' butt every day in practice. He was the backup center. So
did you know that Sam Bradford's mom was my PE teacher?
What? Really? Look at the connection that's being made.
It's all coming back.
Not only did you guys have that same hat back in the day,
yeah,
but you guys have a connection deal with Sam Bradford.
Whenever Sam Bradford was coming to OU football camp, we had a Sooner Ball team, and I was his Sooner Ball coach.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, this guy has a cannon. This was either before or after his sophomore year. And just lo and behold, he's turned out to be a pretty good quarterback.
Not too bad. Heisman Trophy,
shabby.
#1 overall pick. And you know what? He wouldn't have been what he was if it wasn't for the red panda over here.
For touching my butt every day.
It was the luck of the Irish. This little redhead over here. He got a little luck rubbed off from having to come up and tap him on the cheek and get under center every day.
Yeah, just had to get him warmed up,
Yeah,
had to get him warmed up.
So you guys win a national championship, but there are some iconic, and I'm gonna pop these up right here on the screen so everybody will be able to see this. You won't be able to see it, but I'm gonna pop these up. There's some iconic photos of you, Bubba, that I love. The one is the picture of you at Nebraska, helmet off, face to face with this Nebraska player. Can you walk me through that real quick? Because that is probably my favorite photo of you.
Yeah, that was a guy that took that picture, gave it to me for a wedding present. And because I saw it, I'm at Goldie's in Norman. I saw the picture. I'm like, what the heck is that? And the guy, somebody at Goldie's took it off the wall, and I signed it, and they put it back on the wall. I don't even know if it's still there. And so I found out who took the picture. He gave me a copy of it. And he said it was because the captains would go out. They used to go out at halftime, I think it was, but it was some kind of odd time when we're shaking hands. But the truth is, I'm not face to face with that guy. When the picture is big and blown up, you can see that it's offset a little bit. I'm going to shake someone else's hand that's behind him.
Because it looks, the picture is so great because it looks like you have told him that you're going to murder his family with a hatchet.
Yeah, he's another offensive lineman, and that's the only time I'm going to see him is right then. Other than that, I'm like, hey, I see you over there on the other side. I can watch him play against our D line, but no, he's another offensive lineman, and that's the only time I got that close to him. But I didn't do anything. I'm shaking someone's hand behind him. That's the funny part about that picture.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
It's all about the angle.
It's all about the angle.
It's all about the angle.
Hey,
I wish I had some great story behind it, but it's not that great.
So that's really funny. So it's all about angles.
It's all about the angle.
It's all about the angle because it does look like Bubba's about to kill somebody. But one of my favorite also, I have to ask you about this. One of my favorite all-time probably OU moments is in the national championship game, which you're a captain. Like this is the biggest stage in college football.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the field. You got Chris Weinke, Florida State. You got incredibly talented Florida State team, Heisman Trophy winner in Chris Weinke, and Torrence Marshall, our linebacker, is talking during the coin flip. Can you walk me through just every aspect of that moment and how big that was, probably even moving forward for the momentum for that game?
Yeah. So we had, I think it was 6 captains. There was Torrence and
Chris Hammonds.
Torrance, me, Chris Hammond, Seth, Josh, and I think it was Rocky Kalmus. And only 4 would go out, and Josh and Rocky, they just didn't want to go out. So it was us 4 every time. Seth is offense and special teams. Chris is offense. I'm offense. Torrance is defense. But Torrance did this every single game.
Okay, so this wasn't specific just to the national championship.
No.
Okay.
It was every game he was talking smack, and he knew the other guys.
I love it.
But he also did it every day in practice.
Okay.
And so on Tuesdays, we did a lot of ones versus ones, scripted stuff. And the whole time he's talking, and then the whole time I'm holding him and punching him in the ribs, just the stuff that offensive linemen do to a middle linebacker. And they would do this deal where he would walk up right in my face on a blitz drill, and I'd snap the ball, I'd get back, and he'd slap me in the helmet and drop in the pass coverage. So I'm like, okay, I know this routine. So one time I knew what was going to happen. He's standing in my face. He's going to try and do it again. I snap the ball and I grab him and I just sit there with him. I don't drop back, and he's trying to drop back, whatever. And they throw the ball right behind him, and he's talking smack to me. And I'm like, I don't talk smack. I just hit people.
Right.
Down.
Yeah.
That's my job.
No matter what that picture with Nebraska.
Right. But he did that every single game. And we go out there for the coin toss. We just had Toby Keith just sang the national anthem, who's an OU fan, even though he sang the song Should Have Been a Cowboy, which is kind of an oxymoron for him. So
right. Yeah.
There's a whole nother story behind that song anyway. But Denzel Washington is there for the coin toss, and Torrance is just giving the dude what for. And you can see me elbowing Hammonds or something like, hey, he's doing it again. But in front of me is one of their starting linebackers, and I'm just sizing him up, and I'm like, okay, he looks like a normal linebacker. He's not Florida State. They're the at that time Florida State was they were the power.
Bobby Bowden
ran the NCAA at that time. Bobby Bowden, I love Bobby Bowden, but they had a bunch of dudes. I'm like, he's just normal looking guy. I'm like, okay, let's go play ball. But Torrance is doing what he does. I'm gonna come get my boys' trophy back, and Winky was mouthing back, and Denzel Washington was laughing about it. I'm like, this is kind of cool moment, and lo and behold, it lives forever on YouTube.
It does. It's an incredible moment. Just first off, Torrence Marshall's an incredibly intimidating human being anyway, right?
Yeah, he's 6'2", 250, and he ran a low 4.5 40.
Right. The guy is an absolute animal. Physical freak of nature.
I believe they call that a beast.
That is called a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is so iconic. Him standing there in that number 10 jersey, swaying back and forth and telling, Chris Weinke, I'm coming to get my boys' trophy. Talking about because Josh Heupel finished second.
Yeah.
And he's saying, I'm coming to get my boys' trophy because you don't deserve it. He did. And Winky's like, no, you didn't. It's my trophy. And he's like, no, I'm taking it today. It is just so iconic.
Oh, it's great.
Man.
Yeah, because we were all complaining about it anyway because Chris Weinke had went and played minor league baseball. He was older.
Yeah, he's like 28.
I'm like, why is this dude even up for this award when he went and played minor league baseball? He's older. You got a bald spot, just you can't give a guy with a bald spot. Go ahead and shave your head.
That's not funny.
Yeah, Adam was bald at like 20.
I have a bald spot anyway, so I can, I'm fine. I'm an old man now.
No, yeah. you can talk about it now since you're on the crew.
That's such an that's one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite all-time OU moments right there.
That's what Brad wants when he needs to get jacked up. For anything.
Yeah,
now.
anything, man.
For anything.
Yeah,
now.
anything.
And what was different was for that game, we were all out. Both teams were out for the national anthem and the coin toss. And normally you stay back in the locker room for those things. So everybody's just like, we've been out there for a while, and everybody's like, you feel the energy of the stadium. And we played defense first. Ante Jones is one of the dime, come down in the flat defensive backs. He's also from Miami. He's also, one of those will not shut up little people.
Yeah,
just talking the whole time. And they throw an out route or a screen or something, and he comes out and just decleats the receiver, and everybody, it's on our sidelines, and it gets us all our guys juiced up, and we're like, okay, we're going to win the game. We knew after that play, like, it didn't matter. These guys, you can put whoever you want to out there, we're going to win the game. That was just our mindset and our mentality that year.
Well, and it was. The Nebraska game that year, there were so many iconic moments even just through that season of just big-time players making big-time plays. And that goes back again to us talking about so much of that talent was already on the roster on a team that had gone 5-6. Mm-hmm. But it just took that leadership. And I know we'll get into talking about fatherhood and stuff with that. But even just talking about leadership, so you obviously – I don't think people realize, because I played college football at East Central, where Chris Hammonds came from. Like you said, he left East Central and walked on, team captain with you, tight end. People don't realize how much little interaction the offensive and defensive players have with one another in a lot of ways, right? Was that the case at OU too? Obviously you did things together, but like you spent so much time with your position group doing film, doing all those things. There wasn't a ton of interaction with just other groups, and especially on the other side of the ball. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, in season, when you're in season, so there's 100 there, and then I don't know the numbers now, but at that time there are 105 players on the roster.
Yep.
And you had your first and second string offensive guys. We would rotate, and the third and fourth string offensive guys would be the scout team on the defense. So, it was the ones and the twos, offensive linemen were together all the time, and we went against the defensive linemen all the time. And that's just kind of the scout team defensive line.
Yeah.
You got to know them. Like the defensive backs, I didn't know them at all, really. The scout team guys I knew a little bit, but the starting defensive backs, I never interacted with them ever.
Right.
So just a little bit. But that was part of it. So the offensive line, when they locker assignments, I don't think we didn't kind of like say, hey, I want that locker. It was like, this is the offensive line's row of lockers.
Right.
And all the seniors, starters, those guys, these are your lockers. You're all together. And we messed with each other, and no one messed with us. That's just kind of how it was. The DBs stayed, they did their little defensive back stuff. The receivers did their little receiver stuff, but we did our stuff, and we had our kind of pre-practice rituals. There was a time when you would walk in and you didn't know if your locker was going to be taped up or your shoulder pads or your helmet, and it was just kind of you're messing with everybody all the time. But it was just we mess with each other, but you don't mess with my group, my guys.
Yeah,
but we still had a common cause.
Right.
And unfortunately, under Coach Blake, it was a lot of us versus them, offense versus defense. And we weren't a team. And it was a lot of finger pointing, like, well, we lost a game 15-14. Like, and when the mindset is, if we'd have scored, kicked a field goal or scored another touchdown, we'd have won the game. Or if you'd have held them to, they wouldn't have kicked that field goal. Whatever the scenario was, a lot of finger pointing. It wasn't just like, we got to play better. We have to play better as a team.
Right.
So that was just all that was squashed, and it was just like, we do this together mentality.
So, and the reason I even kind of brought that up is I didn't know how much, because obviously now Brent Venables, head coach at OU's come back. And so I don't know how much interaction you had with him when you were a player, but, you know, I'm a huge University of Oklahoma football fan. I have been since I was a little boy. Matter of fact, when I was 5 years old, Jameel Holloway was on my birthday cake for my 5th birthday. That was obviously before he went to prison and got in trouble at the time. He's doing good now, I think. But anyway, he was on my birthday cake. I mean, I grew up an OU football fan. I remember my first OU football game was OU versus Colorado, and it was a night game.
That was my first game.
Was it really?
Yeah.
And we didn't have stadium lights. There wasn't lights at OU, and they had to rent lights to bring them in for the games because they didn't play night games.
Yeah, I wore red and white striped overalls. Don't know where I got them. Don't know where they are.
I remember that. I mean, that's so crazy. That was your first game too. That was my first. That was my first. My first OU game was a night game. OU, incredible.
Yeah, Charles Thompson started quarterback in that game.
Yeah, he was. That's exactly right. I mean, with that being said, when we hired Brent, which I knew Brent a little bit, like I said, I played football at East Central, but OU recruited, and by recruited I mean I got free tickets to the home games. And so I'd go and do the recruit thing, and, you know, I'd come in and, you know, meet Bob, and I'd meet Brent and Jackie Shipp and, you know, some of those guys that were defensive guys. And so I got an opportunity to have several conversations with Brent Venables. Now, the problem was there was 2 kids from my area that, you know, I don't know if it looked this way. There were 2 kids from my area, and they either said, oh, we can recruit this Brad Clay kid from Allen, Oklahoma, or we can recruit Dan Cody from Ada, who was a 2nd-round NFL pick, you know, All-American, whatever. I don't know. But, I mean, looking back on it, I mean, it was a cool opportunity. I got to do that, go to games. But, you know, I was like, if there was a radar of 10 players that they were, you know, recruiting, I was like 11. But I got free tickets, and I got to go. But when we hired,
I would say that was me in high school also.
Yeah. And I kind of look back on it and kind of go, man, I wish I'd have, you know, maybe tried to walk on. Maybe things would have been different. It'd been a fun experience. But when we hired Brent, I pulled my 8-year-old son, who Josiah loves football, and we went to the press conference, and I was so impressed with Brent, not only from what he talked about being the football coach and talent and coaching, but from a faith aspect. Have you had what is your perspective on Brent and the football program right now?
I've talked to 2 friends that I know and trust. They know the gospel. They know the truth. And they have had one of them's on staff. They're both on staff. One's on the Soul Mission staff, and one's one of the DB coaches, safeties coach. And they said it's real and it's genuine. That while he was at Clemson, something happened.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what his faith was like before at all. I would say that what my personal experiences were, like his faith was more what I would call a cultural Christian. He can understand, you know, he's from Kansas, you know, it's not that different from Oklahoma, Southern Baptist life. And it can understand the culture of a church, when to stand up, sit down, bow your head and pray, and how, you know, all the things of church. But was Jesus truly in him? No clue. That's between him and Jesus, but he's different now.
Yeah.
I went to a practice and kind of saw and talked to some of those guys, and it's really exciting to see, because he's not just coaching for wins and championships. He's coaching for the heart and soul of the player, like the longevity. There's an old coach said that you'll know how I am as a coach by the wins and losses, but the true measure of the program will be in 20 years to the kinds of husbands, fathers, and men they turn out to be, businessmen, you know, kind of what they turn out to be as a result of being a part of this program.
Right. So I get the same feeling that it's all 100% real. So my son went to the Brent Venables football camp, And they even talked about other parents were there. This is his first year to be old enough to be able to go to that camp, but other parents talked about what a difference there was between this camp, not in all aspects, than the Lincoln Riley camp the year before. I guess Lincoln's was the same amount of money, I think. It was only a day camp, and they said structurally it was a nightmare. Like it was just an afterthought. We go to the Brent Venables football camp. It's a 2-day camp. We show up, and like I'm watching 10-year-old, 8-year-old little boys that play offensive line, and Bedenbaugh's coaching them. Our offensive line coach is coaching them. I'm watching our running back. These kids that say, I play running back. Guess who's coaching them? DeMarco Murray. I'm watching Brent Venables on the field. I'm watching current players. I'm watching Justin Broyles on the field. I'm watching Ethan Downs on the field with these kids. I'm watching, these players and I'm the actual coaches, and it was so incredibly structured. Not a second of both days were ever wasted, and those kids learned, and those guys were investing in them. I mean, Cale Gundy. He's pouring sweat. Our assistant head, he is pouring sweat out there, running around playing and coaching these kids, and investing in them. But what was awesome is that Brent gathered every one of those kids in that camp, every parent, every one of those players, and he got them, and he was doing a talk with them. And, dude, he laid out and talked about Jesus. And he talked about Scripture, and he talked about the Bible. He quoted Bible verses to those kids, just unapologetic about it. It was incredible, Bubba. It was incredible. No hold back. Him and Chavez, the one of our defensive end coaches, same thing, man. Every time he got an opportunity, man, they laid it out, and they shared about it. So pretty cool things, I think, happening at the University of Oklahoma on all levels when it comes to the football program.
Yeah, very cool. Very exciting just to see the trajectory of it all. I think that one of the things that really is going to set them apart is the SOUL mission. SOUL's an acronym, but the guys that are involved in that, they get the hearts and minds of the players and what they need, the direction, the kind of that. I think it's more of a big brother mindset of like, hey, you're going to deal with this. It's not that, hey, I'm your dad, do what you're told, but it's like, it is mentorship. It is discipleship. It is those things. 3 of the 4 guys I know are believers. One of them I don't know him. So, but 3 of the 4 I know are believers, and just like they walk it. Excited about the direction Coach Venables has the program going in. One of the guys that was a GA when I was there, his name is Brandon Hall. He grew up a Newcastle racer. I think he was a Newcastle racer. Yeah. And then, but just was around the program forever, was loyal to Coach Venables, and now he's back coaching on the field and everything. But man, football, college athletics is so different right now with the NIL and with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And it's so, because, we can go back in time. I'm from the BCS era. Then there was the playoff, the +1 BCS. Then there was the playoff era. Now we're in a completely different one. And I'm wondering, like, will another division of football be made? Because there's the haves and the have-nots. You're going to have there's what the stuff with Coach Switzer did. I don't quite understand all the NIL stuff and the different things that are coming up, but there's something he's kind of backing right now. I know OSU's coming out with something pretty big as well. But it's almost like, is there going to be a salary cap for these programs? What you can pay these kids? And I'm like, and then are they going to start paying 15-year-olds at Putnam City North High School that have a lot of potential to come to, say, hey, you know what? I want you to sign with OU someday, even though they're 15. It's just, where does it stop?
Right. And the door, it's a little bit of a Pandora's box a little bit. It's a little bit scary. I just saw where a player just committed in Florida and signed. He commits, a high school kid. This kid's still in high school, and he's got a $9.5 million NIL deal.
Wow.
And is that Manning? The Manning
No,
kid?
That's not Archie Manning. This was a kid that just signed with, I believe, the University of Florida.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. Signed with Miami. Miami University.
The U.
He signed with the U, and and he got a $9.5 million NIL deal there in Miami. Just, like you said, it's crazy where football is. But obviously, you met your wife, who's a collegiate athlete as well, right?
She played basketball, walked on, played for Sherry Cole. We met at FCA. We met at we had botany. We're in botany together. So it was just, the whole Norman OU thing is very, good memories, nostalgic when we go back there. Just remembering walking around places. We just had our 21-year anniversary, so we went to Norman, and we have a house there and worked on it. But then we went to see the new Top Gun movie at the same movie theater where we had our first date.
Oh, that's awesome. That's all. And here's the deal: there's nothing more attractive than collegiate offensive lineman. I mean, there's just not.
No.
I mean, I can see how
No.
you won her over. I mean, you just can't resist.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. I mean, the big nasties up front, man. I mean, you can't turn it down. But after you graduated, you guys got married. You got into coaching. Is that correct? Is that how it started for you?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
And you coached on the high school level. And tell me about just, from that aspect, transitioning out of, collegiate player, you get into coaching, you start a family. Kind of walk me through this aspect of your life to get kind of caught up to where we are even today with what you're doing.
Yeah, it was after I finished playing, I had a decision to make to get into coaching or to get in the business world. And I got to play in the Hula Bowl. Bobby Bowden was our team's coach. And I'm just trying to figure out, what do I want to do? Do I want to coach? Do I want to just, use my degree and go do some kind of business, get in the business world? And he just talked about his level of influence as a coach and what he does with his faith. And from that point on, I'm like, all right, I'm coaching. And coached college ball for 3 years, 2 years at OU, 1 year at Northeastern and Tahlequah. And it was just so much time was spent in the office watching film, doing all the coaching stuff. And I'm like, I'm not ministering, or, I can say that now. I wasn't working with the athletes like I wanted to, getting into their lives and trying to make that difference. So they made a decision. That's a big decision financially, because the financial, the ceiling for a high school teacher is much lower than a ceiling for a college football coach. So
For sure, yeah.
that was a big difference. But yeah, coached 2 years at Shawnee, 1 year at Broken Arrow, and then 6 years at Coweta High School as the head coach, and saw just a tremendous need for father figures in kids' lives. Saw a tremendous need for stable environments, stable homes, because a lot of times the most stable environment they had was the classroom or the locker room. And because once they got home, it was a giant mess.
Right. Yeah.
And they didn't know where their next meal was coming from. They knew, like, hey, I can eat at school. So they were there all the time at school. And the kids would play football, and you would have extra food laying around, and they would take it home with them. And it's sad. And I don't know how many pair of tennis shoes we bought, how many pair of jeans we bought, just clothing kids. And if you ask God to open your eyes and open your heart, you see ways to minister to people and things, and allow God to work and use you. And so there's so much to be done.
Right.
But it's always an opportunity to share the gospel. They don't always care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
That's a big thing about coaching.
Yeah, that's a great word right there. That's a great word. And so you transition out of coaching. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a slow fade. And in college, my wife and I had done a lot of speaking to youth groups, youth events, FCA talks, and then later on as a coach, just started doing some more talks to men's groups. That all started, kind of that pursuit started a little bit whenever my oldest was born. because my thought was, he's a boy, he's a male, and I have to raise him to be a man, and I don't understand anything about that. Because just had no real good guidance on that. It's just I was raised by a single mom, and so just that pursuit of what is biblical manhood, what does God expect of me, and then how do I teach that to my sons? And so just that pursuit of that, and then probably it was my last season at Coweta. I was like, I have to make a change, or I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to go nuts. I felt that burning and itching to do something different, and then just started. I didn't know what it was going to be or what it was going to look like, but I just started volunteering and doing more stuff at church and speaking and different events, and to where now I'm able to work with statewide with the Oklahoma Baptist, helping men's ministry in different areas, different aspects, and running the Rewired Men's Conference.
And that's how we've met. Was through men's ministry stuff. Obviously, through the show, traveling and speaking, doing men's events. We got pulled into a group together that we called Delta. Me and Bubba and some other guys that did men's ministry around the state. Now, I mean, we knew one another, I think, prior to that, but that's when we got to know one another. Like, I got to know. We spent quite a bit of time together. Talking about faith and that aspect of it, and we both have pretty similar stories in a lot of ways too. My mom didn't remarry after my dad passed away until I was in high school, so spent most of my time with a single mom. Both had a love football, but then on the same aspect of not understanding what biblical manhood looks like or was, just because we didn't have that example. And then here we are. I got 3 boys as well. You got some twins that you're which I love. Which, by the way, can we just, obviously being friends on social media, I love your dad post. So whoever's snapping those photos for you, kudos to that. Those are a lot of fun. But just tell me, even just the aspect of just, not growing up with a dad, and here you are thrown to this of raising these boys. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I've got 4 boys and a girl, and that's 4 families someday that I get to influence a legacy of what does it mean to be a follower of Jesus, to have a godly father in the home. And I remember going to Rewired at they call it the Trinity Amphitheater, and I listened to you, Brad, with Clayton Edgar, and you guys talked about your dads.
Yeah, we had 2 total opposite stories. I remember when we shared that.
Total opposite stories, and I just sat there and listened, and really resonated with your story, and just man, it broke my heart. And then listening to Clayton's story, just very encouraging to me. So just all of it at once, it was such. I sat there with Aaron Myers, because he was my kicker in high school. Yeah, Aaron Myers. He's works with in Lawton, serving as a pastor down there. Yeah, but
youth pastor.
Sat there. I didn't move for maybe 5 minutes afterwards. I'm like, what just happened? It was very powerful to me in that moment, but it helped me, because I don't know if it was then he's 14 now. I don't know if he was just born or 1 or 2 at the time, but I'm still a young dad at the time, just clueless on what I'm doing. My wife and I, we were in love, we're married, we were committed. Well, both of us, our parents were divorced, and if your parents are divorced, they say you're 50% more likely to be divorced. So we're battling statistics. We're saying, no, that's not who we're going to be. And we're, as a family, what is our family going to look like? And so for some respects, we were like 2 ships passing in the night. We weren't on the same mission. It was, she does her stuff, I do my stuff, and then we live in the same house, eat the same, she cooks dinner, and, but it took a little while till we understood that we were a team. We were having an argument about something, and I don't know why and where it came from. I just stopped and said, whose team are you on? Because right now we're acting like we're on 2 different teams. And we want this, we're on the same team. What are we doing? And and we just basically were able to lay aside our preconceived notions about things and knew that we were on one team, Team Burcham, and we have a mission to impact all those around us with the gospel of Jesus through our family, and where it can be a multi-generational mission for our kids to look to and follow. And you can go, like, you just think back into biblical times, you could go to a Jewish boy and he could trace his lineage back generations to Abraham, to the 12, through the 12 tribes, all the way even back to Adam. But I can't go past more than a couple generations. That's just Western American culture, is that multi-generational legacy isn't there. And so it took us, 15 years to kind of figure this out as a family. Like, hey, we're trying to build something that lasts. Mm-hmm. And even though my son is 19 and now in 19, he's in college, I'm still his dad. I'm not done to like, hey, bye, see you, good luck with life. And then someday I'm going to retire from a vocation, but I'll never retire from being a dad.
Right.
I'll never retire from pursuing my wife's heart as a husband, to constantly be a student of my wife. And just like, what's, people talk about the 5 love languages, but like your food tastes change over time. So same thing with like, that, like, have to be a student of my wife and like what speaks to her heart in this moment. What does she need? Because like me, I'm like, I got to go to the back porch. I'm working on this project, but she's pouring her heart out. I'm like, okay, pause on what I'm and be here present in this moment. That's the goal. Do I do that all the time? No. So I'm human. I'm still thinking like, I got this out here, this project I'm working on. But as a family, just the biggest thing was one, we have a common goal, because we're both ex-athletes, team-minded, goal-driven people where we want to work towards these things. So now just like as a family, it's a bigger picture. It's a longer process. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
No, that's a great word. So we kind of wrap up here, Bubba. What would you tell 18-year-old Bubba Burcham today?
Slow down and enjoy the moment. Goals are good, but championships are nice, but relationships are far more important than any goal, any championship ring. The relationships, experiences you have are what lasts a lifetime. The time that I sat down with you and Keybone and a couple other guys, and you guys kept us rolling, laughing with your youth ministry stories for like 2 hours. And it's just like that moment, those stories, the very first time we met as a Delta group, it went from 0 to highly relational in like 1 minute. I don't know what it was about that group. It was just different. So just like I would tell 18-year-old me, just like slow down, enjoy and live your life. But the little moments, the relational moments are what matters. You can be interested in people, more than being, I'm not worried about being interesting. It's more important to be interested in people, to know why is Adam wearing an OSU hat when he's talking to an ex-OU player, that kind of thing.
Because he's a jerk. I think that's the main. I am what I am. He am what he am.
Just own it. But that's what I would say to myself is just relationships are more important than championships. Is something I've said in coaching. So that's
a great word, man. That's a great word. Slow down and invest. Take interest in people. What a great word. Bubba, man, we've taken up so much of your time today, dude. I want you to know that I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your faith. I appreciate your boldness and all of that. And thanks for coming on today, man. I felt like I know, sharing some great stories, from football aspect of it. But the main reason I wanted you on is because I respect you as a father. I respect you as a husband, as a man of the Lord. And so I feel like, I'm walking away today encouraged by hearing you share. And so, man, I just appreciate you a ton for coming on and spending some time with us today, buddy.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it's fun to remember who I was. And then, just those stories remind me of and give me encouragement to like, hey, it's kind of cool. I was able to do that. So
no, bro, it's unbelievable. I mean, when you take a step back out of it, that there's 7% of high school athletes have an opportunity to play collegiate sports, but then you got to do it on the highest level. You got to be a team captain on a national championship team, and you got to be a part of one of the most iconic moments in OU football history as Torrence Marshall talked absolute garbage to Chris Weinke. So, I mean, it didn't get any better than that, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's fun. It's good memory.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for coming on, buddy. Love you, and let's get together and have lunch sometime. Man, I have so much respect for Bubba. Godly man, just one of those people that you just feel encouraged by. You just feel motivated by. Is that a good word?
Yeah. No, it's awesome getting to listen to somebody that you're just on board with. Like there's nothing that he talks about that you're not like, yeah.
Well, and it's things that him talking about, I have the opportunity, I got 5 kids, I have the opportunity to influence 5 families.
Yeah.
Man, that was great.
Yeah. But it's in times like, because he's talking about that and because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I come from, this legacy. I know we talk about my first name, and it's an easy target.
Hurl.
It's an easy target.
Hurl Carter.
I mean, it's just sitting out there. It is a volleyball set ready for spiking. But at the same time, I've told you in the past, like I grew up hating it that I had that name. It's like I hate roll call day. I hate the fact that this is going to happen. And then the older I got, the more I realized the legacy. That name may be awful, but what it represents is now 4 generations of men that have been following after God.
Yeah. And, Bubba talked about how he was influenced when me and Clayton spoke at an event that he was at. And I remember us specifically talking about that because I shared my story of growing up without a dad.
Yeah.
And then Clayton's a PK.
Yeah.
Right? He's a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
And how we both shared our different perspectives of how we were raised and how that influenced us. But we were both pursuing the same thing. How we and him were, and Bubba saying that resonated with him because that was a little bit of his story too. And so, we do have that opportunity to influence our kids.
Yeah.
And you got 3 kids, and you have an opportunity to influence 3 families for generations.
Yeah.
And, I have 4 kids, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's huge. What an incredible opportunity. And we can't waste it. And we can't waste it being wrapped up on things that don't matter. Sports. Little league baseball games, softball games, YMCA basketball. Not that I don't want to win, bro. I hate losing.
Yeah.
I hate losing with a passion. Listen, if you're going to turn the lights on and you're going to keep score, your boy better be ready to bring it because I'm going to try to win.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we can't get so wrapped up and think, well, this is – and sports are great for learning all kinds of life lessons. I think kids need to play sports.
Yeah.
It teaches you teamwork. It teaches you how to lose. It teaches you how to win, how to handle adversity, to work with other people. Sports are great at all those things, and those things are going to help you, but we can't forget the spiritual aspect of it.
Yeah, everything
that has to be the foundation of all aspects of what we're doing.
Yeah, everything's a platform.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you going to use in your life?
And here's the deal. You're an Oklahoma State fan.
Yeah.
But you have to be encouraged by what Bubba said, what I've experienced seeing the coaches at the University of Oklahoma
it's
sharing the gospel.
Extraordinarily.
That I take my 8-year-old son to go to the Brent Venables camp, and, they share scripture with him.
Yeah.
That they talk about Jesus to him. They talk about the Bible with them. I was blown away that they use that platform to do that.
Yeah, and and I think all of us get so caught up in, like, I don't have this platform, and it's like, well, you get up every day, right? You know, it's not the big moments that matter. It's these little moments.
That's right.
It's like you say, it's like the little moments when I'm at the softball game as a dad, like, or I'm at the whatever. Like, these are the moments that matter. It's not these big giant stage moments, like, because you get to experience both worlds of it. You've got the literally going and speaking on a stage moment, followed up by dad mode.
Yeah.
And carrying it from one place to the other is the hardest part.
No, I agree with that 100%. And it's always fun when my kids, like, somebody walks up to me and, like, asks for, I could take a picture, an autograph.
Yeah.
You know, because my kids don't see me as, you know, TV show host.
Yeah,
or
they don't see it.
They don't see it as that. They're always like, why do you want a picture with my dad, man?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I remember the elf at Cabell. We went to Bass Pro Shop to see Santa.
Yeah.
And the elf was a fan of the show, like a full outfit, like had on the tights and the ears, the whole bit. And he's like, "You're Brad Clay." I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I'm a big fan, man.
Yeah.
Can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, "Can we wait till I get my kids through?" You know. And then once my kids got through, I came back around and took a picture with the elf.
Yeah.
You know. And but my kids, they don't see that. They see me as dad, and that's what I am to them. And that's honestly, that's my first.
That's your
priority.
primary role.
That's my primary role, man.
Primary role.
I can't let that. You know, fall to the wayside. And Bubba is just a great reminder of that. This podcast is a great reminder of that.
Oh, yeah.
Of what's most important is the influence that we have. I mean, I believe a big part of the reason Bubba walked away from coaching is he goes, my first priority is my kids. That's my family. And this is my first job of coaching. And so, you know, man, I was challenged by Bubba. I'm challenged every time I'm around Bubba. But you can see why he was a captain of that football team.
Oh, absolutely.
You know. You can see why he's a captain of the football team.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt about it. You know, that guy is just – he's got it. He's got it figured out, man. And he motivates people to be better around him. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he got to be here and challenge us and everybody else that's listening.
Yep. Well, it was a lot of fun.
This
was a good podcast.
It was a lot of fun.
Enjoyed having Bubba on. It's nice having some guests. You know, we did a bunch of these, and it was just me and you for a long time.
Well, it's nice.
We've done a bunch of roadcasts. It's nice. Is it nice to be back in the studio?
In studio,
I enjoyed it. We got to get more comfortable chairs.
We need like a actual studio.
Yeah, how do we do that?
That's
how much you gonna charge me to build that?
Oh, what was my first rate?
It was too much. It was too much.
Too much. Too much too soon.
Too much too soon. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, to this week's podcast of Final Descent Outdoors. Adam, where can people find you?
You can find me on some of the social medias. Hurley Films. I'm actually posting videos again.
What?
Yeah.
Back on the YouTube, posting some videos.
And it's hard for me to think when I'm getting a massage.
Yeah, I know, right? I found a knot. How about you return that favor? I got one right here, and it is
go.
bothering me.
Yeah. Where can they find you?
You can find Final Descent Outdoors on all those social media.
Softball.
Oh, I know. You're getting it too, bro. It feels really good. You can find Final Descent Outdoors on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at FD Outdoors. You can find Final Descent Outdoors on YouTube. And our new season has started. Oh, my gosh. New episodes of Final Descent Outdoors. You can watch those on our YouTube channel, or you can find us on the Pursuit channel if you're in Canada, Wild TV, all kinds of different places. But you can see them episodes on our YouTube channel. So go give us a follow and subscribe there.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
I threw the logo up too soon.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's.
I'm gonna need you to dig back into that knot again.
Par for the course. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
See you on the next one.